that their guardians, those who are you have, those who are the senior, that older generation, you have the great knowledge and also experience, and that needs to be guided. That this elder generation, like that, I'm talking the civil societies, those who are positive minded, those who are not biased by the political parties, those who have the courage to speak the truth. So, and the NGOs people, I think that in civil societies and right-based organization, they should try in each and like your organization, Sujan, what they're doing. So if all the most of the NGOs, civil societies activists, if they involve the young generation, create some scope for them, and guide them, I think that it will help. And last talk I want to tell that Rabindranath Tagore, what he said, our greatest poet Tagore, and he said that Manusher Prati Vishwas Harano Pap. It is seen to to lose trust on human being. So this is the things that we have to keep trying, and I'm hopeful the darkness will go off and the light will come someday. And we need the younger generation, the countries like ours in South Asia, we need the guidance and your experience to lead us. Thank you very much.
Yeah, basically, sir, I am agree with you. Young people can make heaven and hell both. But and in Indian perspective, I felt that youth have no safe space, not in political system, but even in NGO and civil society system. We need to create a safe space for them so that they can ask their queries, they can clear their misinformation, and they can clear their mind. We need to ensure that they what information they are getting, that is right, basically. In my experience, I want to add one of lady which she asked about the how should what strategy we need to adopt when it's banned or not allowed in our country by law. Basically, in India, we are working also on comprehensive sexuality education, and with sexuality word in India culturally, it's the political system, and also the community also, it's very offended on with the word of sexuality. But we use the word health instead sexuality, and we work with youth about their issues, about their reproductive health and right, about their all issues what they need to talk. And we ensure that there is safe space where they can ask, where they can discuss, where they can express their opinions. Basically, we need to ensure that. Thank you.
I did already.
I realize there are other questions, other hands up, but we have come to the end of the day. Of course, they're going to be here for this evening and tomorrow, and so I'm sure they'd be happy to visit with you privately or in one of the other sessions. I think it was an outstanding panel, so join me in thanking them for their contributions. Do we have announcements or anything for people, Mona? Or?
Yeah,
okay.
The last session with Kailash Satyarthi will start at 6:30 p.m. So please be ready for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
We are going to have the final session of the day. Can you hear me? Okay. Welcome to the final session for the day. And we are very privileged that we have with us the very special guest, Shri Kailash Satyarthi, 2014 Nobel Peace Prize Laureate. He will be in conversation with Fred Redmond, United Steelworkers International Vice President, about dignity of child, freedom and education. The session will be moderated by Shawna Bader-Blau, Executive Director, Solidarity Center. May I request all of you to please come on the stage, and maybe Carl, you should also be here. Come.
Well, again, welcome to everyone. It's been a long day. I think sometimes if you have a conference, not in a hotel, but in a conference center where the only way you can get back to the hotel is with a bus, everyone will stay. But, but I think, I think we're also here because we actually have been part of an extraordinary day. I think everyone will agree that this has been a really special day from start to now, and it will be from start to finish, I'm sure. Just being with His Holiness this morning was just a blessing for all of us. And, I learned so much, and I just really want to say one thing about what I learned with our last session with young people, when our young Cambodian friend, Ritthy, talked about what he does and the internet in Cambodia. And as I was listening to him talk about 1/3 of the population being on the internet, 1.7 million people being on Facebook, I'm older than most people here. And I just want you to know that all I could think about was my memory of the summer of 1975 and reading the articles in the New York Times by Sidney Schamberg about when the Khmer Rouge came into Phnom Penh and emptied the city. And it began, the period of the killing fields in Cambodia. And here was a young Cambodian talking so vibrantly, so creatively about the use of the internet. And I said to myself, my God, we've gone from the killing fields to Facebook in Cambodia. And think about, what that means. And so I know that, and we had a question, very important question from one of our Tibetan friends about how different it is in Tibet. But if you can go from the killing fields to Facebook in Cambodia, you can go from suffering and totalitarianism to freedom in other societies, and it's going to happen. And we just have to stay with it while it happens. It's going to be a long struggle, but I think nobody here can give up hope. Havel once said that, hope is not a calculation about the future. That's optimism. Hope is part of the human spirit, and we're all moved by hope. Our dinner tonight is being sponsored by our friends at the Taiwan Foundation for Democracy and the Taipei Economic and Cultural Center in India. And so it's my pleasure tonight just to hear, before we get started, brief messages. First, from the ambassador from Taiwan here in India, Ambassador Chung-Kwang, Tien, and I'll ask him to speak, and then I'll ask the representative of the Taiwan Foundation for Democracy to say a brief word, please.
Thank you, Carl. Satyarthi, dear friends. Let me first of all congratulate Satyarthi. Now he is a new grandpa. He is a grandson about almost 1 month old. Congratulations. Let me first of all welcome all of you to participate this section. I have the great privilege to accompany Satyarthi and Sumedha to visit Taiwan January 14th to 18th. Before that, I have to confess, I had a little knowledge about this gentleman. But the more you know him, probably the more you admire him. Not for me, but the millions young people all over the world that admire this gentleman with a kind heart but iron will. There's a number on the wall of his office, 83525. That means they are over 83,525 child labored been saved by him. I think the number should be increasing. During his visit in Taiwan, he met with our president, our foreign minister, our legislators. Most importantly, he met his children in Taiwan. 5 years back, before he was awarded, we had a number of NGOs. They came here, volunteers. One is Wake, the other one is Eden. They came here to work with Satyarthi. And the first night when he was awarded Nobel Peace Prize, and the first foreign journalist he received was from Taiwan. And according to the report, he mentioned that, I love Taiwan, I love Taiwanese. So when I read that, I was surprised. Of course, he must know Taiwan, he understood Taiwan, but how could he love Taiwan and love Taiwanese? And then I realized for the past 5 years, there were so many young kids working together with him. They consider he and Mrs. Satyarthi as father and mother. And he and Mrs. Satyarthi consider them the children from Taiwan. So my job became very easy when I invited him to Taiwan. He said, yes, of course, I'm going to see my children in Taiwan. Otherwise, I'm telling you, his invitation is over 11,000 invitations. It would take 10 years for me to invite him to visit Taiwan. So I think I'm very lucky. In Taiwan, I think he inspired so many youngsters and also delivered a speech which gave a lot of inspiration and vision to our youngster. The most important thing I remember what he said was, Nobel to me is only a comma in my life, only a comma. Only when the child labor is finished, it will become a full stop. So I'm very fortunate to have this opportunity to accompany him to visit Taiwan. I believe there will be the beginning of many, many encounters in the future. Thank you very much. And I brought with me a photo album when he was in Taiwan.
Thank you so much, Ambassador. Thank you so much. And one more message before we get going with the program. Everyone, I think, here knows the Taiwan Foundation for Democracy. And it's the first democracy foundation in Asia. And I think it's, setting the tone for what we hope will be other countries establishing similar institutions. And it's played a very, very important role already. It was established, I think, 12 years ago. And it's had an impact on the global democracy movement. And it's a great pleasure for me to introduce the Vice President of the Taiwan Foundation for Democracy, Ching-hsin Yu.
Thank you, Carl. Mr. Satyarthi, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Taiwan Foundation for Democracy, I would like to convey my warmest welcome to all of you tonight to celebrate the successful implementation of the conference on strengthening democracy in Asia, inclusion, participation, and rights. Today is a very productive day. Ever since we have lessons from His Holiness Dalai Lama this morning and all the way on to this evening, we learned a lot, either from a kindergarten to university or whatever. Actually, we did a good experience today. And tonight is also a very special night because tonight we are going to have a getting together. And actually, I have witnessed from the early morning to now that all panelists and the participants, we all work out to specify very strong challenge facing the democracy and human rights activists. Also, we try to work out some best strategy to respond to these challenges. And equally important, I would say that we are trying to provide very vision positively to our social change in the future. As a member of the new democracy as Taiwan, actually, I should say that Taiwan is a young democracy. And actually, our democracy does not come very easily. Some of you might know that, well, we have suffered more than more than half century of repressive rule in Taiwan. But fortunately, we are not alone, because in our fighting for democracy, we do receive lots of outside assistance, particularly from the US, as well as our neighboring countries in this region. So it's our privilege and our honor to be here to provide some feedback about experience in fighting democracy, to tell everyone of you, and also we learn from you that, well, how to secure and advance a more solid democracy and a more profound human rights protection here. Finally, I would like to extend my great gratitude and appreciation to our hosts here, including the ISS, Institute of Social Science, and ADN, Asian Democracy Network, and NED from CAR, and National Endowment for Democracy, and also World Movement for Democracy, WMD. And thank you, everyone, and enjoy the night, enjoy in India. Thank you.
Thank you. It's now my pleasure to introduce Shawna Bader-Blau, who runs the Solidarity Center. But before I do, let me just say one word about the 4 institutes associated with the NED that have come together in this conference. We had the 2 panels this afternoon from NDI and IRI. They were both really superb. We're going to have Center for International Private Enterprise organize one of the panels, the panel tomorrow morning. But the reason labor is special at this conference is, first of all, George Fernandez, who was a trade unionist, led the railway workers' strike in 1974, and you heard about all of his struggles. And now also Kailash, who has worked with the Solidarity Center for many, many years. Tonight's session is going to be, I think, really exciting the basic theme is going to be the global march for dignity and democracy. And Kailash has worked on the issue of child rights, child labor. And Fred Redmond, who is not only the vice president of the Steelworkers Union, but also the chairman of the board of an organization I used to work for in my ancient days, the A. Philip Randolph Institute, which was a great organization, which is a great organization that pioneered in civil rights in the United States and in the struggle of black workers for equal representation and equal work. And so we're going to be talking about this global march for dignity and democracy from the perspective of 2 important movements. One against the suffering of child laborers, and the other the struggles in the United States for dignity and democracy. And it's really just a great pleasure for me to introduce this evening the very young and dynamic president of the Solidarity Center, Shawna Bader-Blau. Shawna.
Thank you. So thank you so much, Carl, and it's a really great pleasure to be here with a room like this. Congratulations to the Asia Democracy Network and the World Movement for Democracy, the NED, and the Institute of Social Sciences to bring such an amazing group together in this room of democracy, human rights, and justice advocates from all around the world. And you know, we explored so many issues today during the day, and I hope what we can do tonight is be a little bit more, take a little bit more of a relaxed approach. I'm going to ask a couple of questions to our panelists, and then we'll have a discussion.